It's Tuesday, June 17th. This is the Automotive State of the Union. I'm Paul J. Daly, and this is a freshly arrived in Syracuse, Michael Cirillo, who basically didn't intend to take a red eye last night, but it ended up being a red eye from Texas.
I love doing these in person, especially here, because we have such a track record to follow now. I mean, last time I was here, we reported news from like last year.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is actually current news. But, you know, Michael's flight got delayed. You were supposed to be here at like 10 o'clock last night. You ended up getting here at 4 a.m. this morning. It's now 10:06 Eastern, so you had, I mean, a whole 5 hours to sleep.
Hey, you know what I know for a fact? When flights get delayed 6 times in the space of 7 hours, it brings the best out in people.
Oh.
And I'm sporting my love people more than you love cars.
That's when the world needed it most, Michael.
Yeah, it's when they needed it most.
But it's a fun day for us, actually, on the Soto More Than Cars side, because the entire leadership team is on their way to Syracuse. Kyle is landing very soon. Anne-Marie is already here. Peter and Robin, obviously, are already here. Al is in Syracuse right now. So we're going to be here for a couple of days of planning, strategizing how we can bring you the best parts of this industry and help you run your businesses better. So it's a pretty exciting time for us.
I'm picturing Al right now. For those who haven't met Al, I thought I was Italian, but when I'm next to Al...
Yeah, you look Irish.
I'm like some other, I don't know what I am. And I'm just picturing him right now, 2 nonnas in like nightgowns, just like forcing cantaloupe in front of him, and he doesn't want to eat it.
No, get this away. Get this away from me.
Because
he does live here, so, too.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see
so
him.
It's
going to be great.
He's in his Puma jumpsuit right now.
He's in a Puma
Extra
jumpsuit.
gold chains for the morning. Extra gold chains. All right, let's talk about a little news today, however. We have been talking about this, the SotoCon sessions, new episodes dropping every day today. Investing in the future of auto retail with amazing. Listen to this panel. Steve Greenfield, Bill Karras, Chase Frazier, and Brian Donnelly. Nathan, do you remember? We were like, what is the level of investment money represented on this podcast stage right now?
Over $1 billion.
Over $1 billion represented in this conversation of investment potential. This is probably the conversation of all these SotoCon sessions that outkick the coverage on the audience. So you should listen to this. Search a SotoCon sessions on your favorite podcast platform, or go to our YouTube channel, ASOTube, ASOTU.be. And this is a can't miss conversation. Also, our other podcast, Auto Collabs. The future of retention is data driven, and your tires know it.
Oh.
With Shane Wilson. It's just such a fun conversation. A little bit longer form, and we get a little deeper on these. So Auto Collabs. We have a lot of content people don't know about, I think.
Who on our team titles these things? Because they're always so clever.
Nathan? Is that you? He's raising his hand.
No.
Nathan's like, I actually the one that plugs Kyle in every night.
Do you get... But I need to know, like, do you giggle when you know you've landed on a good one?
Get a good one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
He's like, this one's going to roll.
Yeah, he's like...
All right, we actually have 4 stories. Look, we're not going to be out. Who wants to hear about tariffs again? No new news on this, right? We're definitely not talking politics today. But we wanted to pull out a couple of little stories that are in the news that are just, I think, fun to talk about this morning and a little indicative of the industry that's going on. The first one's the first time we've ever done this. We want to welcome to the franchise side of the business, Benji Urra, that's U-R-R-A. He's a seasoned dealer since '85, a very successful independent, entering the franchise world after 40 years as an independent.
Good for him.
He acquired Bravo Nissan of Victoria, Texas, who we all know, a friend, Alex Flores, one of the owners. He and Raymond Palacios, they sold the store to him. This is his first franchise. He's remaining CEO and president of Benji Auto Sales, which is in Orlando and West Park, Florida. So it's fun to welcome a new, even though we have a lot of independents in the audience,
right?
It's also a point to celebrate that he made the jump.
Well, you know what's interesting about this? I feel like we haven't had this conversation in a while, but the question of like, is now a good time to get into the franchise dealer world? Right. And when you see stuff like this happen, it kind of resurfaces that, and you go, oh shoot, like
it equals opportunity.
It's a good investment. It's a good investment. You have these smart operators. 40 years in the business as an independent means he's seen a lot of the industry. He's dealt with a lot of the industry, and he's even 40 years into it with how things are going and EVs this and that and legislation. He's like, hey, now's a good time to get into a franchise.
And here he is.
Independents
are scrappy too, very entrepreneurial in general. So it's going to be exciting to see what he does with that store. Speaking of EVs, let's go on that thing. I don't know if we have a segue today.
Segue.
Even the prancing horse isn't immune to the EV slowdown. Ferrari postponing its second electric vehicle, originally planned for 2026. Now they're postponing it by at least 2 years, signaling ongoing hesitance in the high-performance luxury EV market. Their first EV, which would be a larger atypical model, co-designed by ex-Apple design chief Jony Ive. I didn't know that. Jony Ive's developing the Ferrari, and then he's also designing the next ChatGPT
wearable or something. Yeah.
What a boss. It's gonna starting price of over 500,000 is more of like a symbolic milestone. They're gonna sell a lot of these. So it's a strategic launch, but they're pushing it back, right? It's been delayed twice. They said there's no real demand for it. I think they were just kind of in on the hype and they had to get something going. I wonder how much development they've even put into it at this point. It gives them time to refine its own EV tech, right?
Yeah.
If they're gonna release a second one, it better be like fully right.
I mean, what's so weird about this is you get into the EV game with a supercar or a super lux, you're really just paying for the name and the style of the body at that point. Because if you've experienced the acceleration of your Lightning,
right?
My Tesla Model 3, when I had it, I felt the like ghost get sucked out of my body on acceleration, or people that have Model S Plaids or anything like that. These have all the horsepower and acceleration of a supercar.
You're right.
So
that's how Brian Benstock was marketing the Prologue when it came out. He was like, it's the acceleration of a Ferrari.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, that's good. So speaking of EV deployments.
Segue.
Got that. So this is, I think, one of the most important developments happening in the EV landscape, as a lot of attention is, going away from them, and they're saying demand is waning. But this really is the largest holdback in people adopting the tech. And in one of the largest EV infrastructure deployments in North America, LAZ Parking is installing 50,000 level 2 chargers at its facilities, bringing access into the daily routines of many city dwellers and commuters. The rollout is spanning across 4,000 locations in 43 states and 536 cities, integrating charging to where people live, work, and park. They're partnering with Epic Charging and Autel Energy, with Autel providing the preferred hardware for the project. It's avoiding the highway model of like super fast chargers and stops. Instead, it's opting to put level 2 chargers in places where people typically spend a little bit more time. You could add about 30 to 40 miles of range per hour on a level 2 charger. So they're like, hey, if someone's gonna be there anywhere between 1 and 5 hours, right? It can bring them value. The cool part about this is that these chargers are able to operate on a standard 220 outlet, which if you're not familiar with EV charging tech, it's like the same level of power that like your dryer or an electric oven would take. So it's much easier to roll out the infrastructure, and they're going the volume play. And this is one of the things we've talked about long and hard, is that EV adoption will never hit a broad scale until we fix the charging issue.
Well, what's interesting about this? We just did the road trip from Dallas to Salt Lake City, right? It's an 18-hour road trip. I was actually impressed. I went onto Rivian's website and I wanted to plan that trip. I don't drive a Rivian. I was just curious how they would chart it out. And what I thought was really interesting is the infrastructure, even now, just in the last couple of years, has improved to the degree that that trip, they say it's going to add an extra hour and a half with charging stops. We take an extra 2 hours on that trip anyways for bathrooms.
Right.
They're like, oh, there's a Love's, oh, there's a Buc-ee's. Oh, you stop at all these places anyways.
And when you have a family, you're half an hour easy.
Right. You stop for lunch, you're already there half an hour to an hour. If you want to just sit down and not do fast food, plug into one of these level 2 chargers, you're going to get an extra 80 miles of range. It's going to get you to your next place that you were going to stop anyways. So I think this is really interesting that we're really starting to see the adoption the way that we are. And I was quite shocked at how many Teslas and Rivians I saw in the middle of nowhere in Moab.
Whoa.
In Moab, like desert, nothing around.
I would be very shocked by that too.
Rivian trucks, Rivian SUVs, the Tesla SUVs. So that tells me, that to me is like a real life proof point to this thesis of like the infrastructure is growing. People are feeling more comfortable to be in the middle of nowhere with an EV. And so here you go.
I mean, I think that the long-term future for EVs remains bright, even though we had an inflated idea of how the adoption was supposed to happen because of incentives and all this incentivizing things and forcing manufacturers to make things. EVs by no means are dying. I think we just got off the artificial growth curve, which for the time being feels a little jarring, but I think the future of EVs is going to continue to grow steadily because I say it all the time. I think the EV driving experience is superior, and I think it's such a practical thing for so many people who only drive 30 miles a day.
Can we just align around one thing, which is that nothing ever ends the way that we think it when it starts.
Isn't that
so it's
true?
like you're saying, I'm thinking about when they came out with the whole EV narrative and save the earth and all these different things. Whatever your motivation is for buying an EV, I'll tell you mine. I buy EVs because I am a tech geek and I love
The tech is superior.
the tech.
Yeah.
It's just awesome. But look at where we are, 3, 4, 5 years into this kind of broad scale experiment. And to your point, we're realizing it's not where it started.
Yep.
And it never is. And
That's right.
I mean, that could be said for everything in life. Speaking of EVs, TikTok.
And not ending, well, speaking of not ending where we thought we were starting out, TikTok is stepping deeper into the AI marketing game, unveiling new tools that let brands generate influencer-style videos using fake people, synthetic avatars, potentially redefining who gets paid to promote. The Symphony AI ads platform now lets advertisers create visual avatars that model clothes, demo apps, and showcase products. The avatars mimic human influencers in both look and behavior, offering content at scale without contracts or shoot days. For brands, it means lower cost, faster output. For influencers, though, it's a looming threat and potential lowering of rates. While some advertisers remain cautious, TikTok's investment is signaling a shift toward an automated influencer.
I mean, look, again, here we are, AI, it started in a place, it's gonna go to a place, and then it's not gonna end up where any of us think it will. All I know is, and this is a stark warning for everyone that's tuning in or watching this in the future.
Pretty ominous.
You will know the minute you see David Spizak's face on 40-year-old Arnold Schwarzenegger's body wearing a Speedo that it is in fact AI generated. I'm just gonna say.
That's debatable. That's debatable. I will say this, in the auto landscape, so you talk about this push that retail has made into like live shopping.
Yeah.
A home shopping network now retrofitted for Gen Z, and it's gaining massive traction. A lot of products moving. TikTok just announced that they were going to stop a big boost of organic traffic to people's live shopping channels.
Okay.
Because now they realize it's caught on, and now they can start to charge for ad placement and charge for eyeballs, which is always how it goes. And with the emergence of these AI-generated influencers, they're really good.
Yep.
I've seen some of them, really good. And for retail, automotive included, how long is it going to be before we have an AI-generated person doing a walk around?
Sure.
Showing tech features, all the things that either needed to be done, or dealers were saying it's too hard for me to generate that content, I can't, to now happening. This is going to happen and continue to happen. I don't know what the lifeblood influencers, I think influencers who have a following are in a good spot.
Yeah.
New influencers are going to have a hard time, but for sure, the market, just like when any technology enters the market, you can either lean in and become very good at what you do and keep building community, or you're just going to continue to get diluted by people who, like back in the day, right? Instagram filters, right? You should take Photoshop skill to do these things, and now the tech can do it. So either you have something very unique and very good, or you're about to get cannibalized.
Tell me this doesn't feel like that movie Ready Player One.
I've never seen that.
It's all
I know
AI
what the premise,
game. Yeah.
Everyone
and
just sits in their apartment and
avatars.
plugs in. The real life happens somewhere else, right?
I mean, if anything, what you just said should be a rally cry for frontline sales professionals or anybody that's customer facing in the auto industry to say, heck no, I will start now to put myself out there. You know, I just got an email the other day from a client partner who said, hey, I'm really interested in this service that automates X, Y, and Z because I'm just so sick of chasing my team to do this, and it's just not worth it to me anymore. I'd rather take this risk over here. Well, when you look at a story like this and AI influencers and the idea of a synthetic being doing walk-around videos and taking away, I mean, this is the stuff we've been talking about and warning against for how long now? Guys, you need to stand up and differentiate yourself. I would place my bet on this isn't going anywhere. It's going to continue to evolve.
Absolutely.
But that also presents an opportunity, which is that as synthetic as things become, people will desire real human interaction.
Absolutely.
There's just going to be a market for it always. So
always. Roll the music. We're getting out of here. We have work to do. You some peachy keen to drink. Oh, do you have some right there? Oh my goodness. Whatever you're doing today, make sure he does. That's his drink of choice if you ever want to get on his good side. Have an amazing day. Take care of the people in front of you. Lean into the human things. And guess what? We're all going to make it.